One of the biggest questions I get asked is, Kajol, do you prefer to take handwritten notes or digital notes at work? After writing notes for nearly 5 years now, whilst digital notes are searchable and yes, everything is stored in one place, which is sick, don't get me wrong, but at least for me, nothing beats that feeling of writing with gel pens on a piece of paper. So today we're going to go through the pros and cons of handwritten notes versus digital notes and how I decide which type of method I use in each meeting. To start, let's talk about my biggest reason why I don't like using my laptop to take notes, and that's just purely because it's less personal. Now, when you're in a one-to-one CEO meeting, or if you're in a customer interview where they are telling you about their struggles, it just looks plain rude if you're sitting there just typing away and not really listening to what they're saying. And I find that sometimes the laptop really does just break those conversation dynamics. So whenever you want to show that you're paying attention, make sure you use your pen and paper. You may think that being able to access all your notes in one place, that is going to count for work notes. That's going to be a +1. Nope, it really isn't, because problem is, for security reasons, you have to use local apps which are already installed on your laptop, and that means you can't use Notion, Evernote or Roam. So you're using ugly things such as OneNote, or you're using your Apple Notes and it's just not organized. And I just hate OneNote, FYI. I think it's so ugly and I think it's so user friendly to use, especially for work notes and meeting minutes and all this stuff. When I really have to, I use Microsoft Word to write notes, and that's only because sometimes you can have templates for minute meetings and it's just really easy to fill and you can easily just attach it and send it to other people. But that's one of the biggest cons about digital notes, and if Notion was on my laptop and I could use it to write notes, I'd be there. But not being able to use that really is a killer for me. Right, so with paper notes, I'm sure you've seen loads of YouTubers stress about, you know, when you write something down, you're definitely going to remember it, which I don't think is true, because I still can't remember what I wrote down yesterday in my meetings. But I cannot deny how helpful it is to write down to be able to solve problems. And hang on a minute, I will tell you why. Because when we write down, I feel like we're forced to summarize things, and hence we're processing things and we need to understand it. But at the same time, it also allows us to come up with new ideas as we're writing it down, because we're thinking about it slower. My creativity definitely does flow much better when I'm writing down things. And you know, if you're the same, I'm not sure if it's just me, let me know in the comments, because I want to know if I'm the only strange one. Talking about writing, not everyone has perfect handwriting, and a lot of the time you're going to get really awful handwriting, and I would just say, do me a favor, just send it across email. Don't bother to write it out, type it, because sometimes it takes longer to decipher what those hieroglyphics meant than actually typing up the notes. Some people say it's really therapeutic to handwrite notes, which I think is so false. It makes me really stressed, and that's because people talk so fast in meetings, faster than me. And not only that, they talk over each other, so sometimes you have multiple people you need to be listening to at the same time. And I'm not sure about you, but I definitely type much faster than I write, and I'm guessing most of us can relate to how slow it is to write sometimes, which means that I miss stuff that was said because I'm writing down something and I missed the last 2-3 seconds because I'm concentrating on what I'm writing down, and hence, you know, you end up missing small pieces of information which is probably really relevant. I mean, unless you're one of those people who use like 2 fingers to like type notes really slowly, I do feel that if you can use a laptop and you type really fast and you can touch type, that is definitely a better way to go if you just want to write down everything and then process it after the meeting. Much slower, but means you'll end up having all the information that was in the meeting. Also, sometimes the perfectionist in me, the OCD part of me, just hates how messy paper notes can be, because we all want it to look like art. You see these amazing YouTube videos where they all look so pretty, like their study notes. That's not the case with meeting notes. You are scrambling to write down what was being said. So if you are OCD and you want it to look a little bit pretty and just organize it as you go along, potentially I would say maybe handwrite your notes. But if you want to know how I write my handwritten notes, I'd definitely go check out the video up here. But let's leave it on a positive note, shall we? Because I am still a hardcore paper notes girl, and I think that when you're trying to use any sort of visualization, paper notes is God, because when you're trying to do mind maps or diagrams, the pain to actually write it on OneNote or to write it on Word, it hurts a lot. So, you know, it's possible, but it's really painful. So definitely stick to paper notes. But I guess you could cheat by taking a picture of whatever your team drew on the board, and then, well, you're sorted, right? You can just easily slip it into your digital notes. And on that note, if you want to know how you want to write meeting minutes, I've also got a video on that, which I'm going to link here as well. So I hope that's helpful. Right, so after all my rambling, which method should you use and when? And I would say that it's really dependent on the kind of meeting you're in, who is in it, how many people are in it, and what is the purpose of your notes? Is it for you or is it for someone else? Now, if it's for someone else, I would say try and do it on a laptop if possible, because you can easily just send it and not duplicating yourself, writing your notes on paper and then writing your notes again on email. I would also say that if you're in one-to-one meetings, try and use paper notes because you look like you're paying attention and listening. So if you're in workshops or brainstorming sessions, definitely use your laptop. Another thing I would say is that when you want to add value to the conversation, sometimes being able to write notes and process your notes and then come up with ideas and then add value back into the conversation, that is great if you're using paper notes. But if you want to just sit on the sidelines, listen in and just understand what's going on, probably laptop notes is better. At the end of the day, regardless, don't take notes for notes' sake. See how your notes can impact the project, and there's no point just writing notes which isn't going to be useful in the future. So I hope this rambling kind of helped, and I know it probably didn't, but let me know in the comments below if you've decided to use handwritten notes or digital notes, and I will see you next week.